Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
The Commission on Elections issues more show-cause orders to midterm poll candidates.
Former Vice President Leni Robredo throws support behind Manny Pacquiao and Ben-Hur Abalos. Vice President Sara Duterte, meanwhile, backs her father's senatorial picks.
A Senate inquiry exposes the link between the Chinese government and troll farms in the Philippines.
And a Chinese aircraft carrier has been spotted near Babuyan Island within the country's territorial waters.
Cardinals and officials of the Holy See will gather inside St. Peter's Basilica for the rite of sealing the coffin, marking the end of the public viewing of Pope Francis's remains. Jovi Francisco with the story.
The night before Pope Francis is laid to rest at the Papal Basilica of St. Mary Major, cardinals and officials of the Holy See will gather inside St. Peter's Basilica for the rite of sealing the coffin. This liturgical rite also signals the end of visitation or public viewing of the Pope's remains. Outside the Basilica, people are still arriving to pay their last respects to the Pontiff. The weather was unpredictable Thursday, but the rains and the harsh sunlight didn't stop them from falling in line and have the chance to catch a glimpse of Pope Francis. The Vatican announced that the number of people who lined up since Wednesday has reached almost 100,000.
Nakakadurog na puso. Kasi sa tagal ko na dito, tapos hindi ko siya nakita. First time ko siya nakita ngayon. Kaya meron kalungkutan.
For the past almost 20 years, naging siya yung parang pinaka-visionary guide ng nating mga Catholics. So, nakakaiyak. Parang there's a peace within na nawala.
Nakakalungkot din talaga, no? Dahil alam natin kung gaano siya kagaling sa mga tao, kung gaano siya ka-peacemaker siya, tapos lahat talaga tinutulungan niya.
Also noticeable, the massive security plan for Saturday's funeral rites. Presence of the police can be seen around the square. Their vehicles were even parked in front of the basilica. Some police personnel were even seen riding horses. Inspection at the major roads is now stricter. Reporting from St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, Jovi Francisco, we are One News.
Now let's talk to Father Bong Bayaras of the Archdiocese of Manila. He is currently residing at the Pontificio Colegio Filipino in Rome. Good morning, Father. Good morning from the Philippines.
Good morning po.
Thank you for joining us. Father, I understand po na meron po certain processes, may 3 stages po ang funeral po dito para sa mga Santo Papa. 1 would be the preparation of the body, 2nd would be the public viewing and the funeral itself, being the 3rd one. But meron po silang tinatawag doon na rite of sealing of the coffin. Can you tell us more about it po, Father?
If we will look at the process now, I think it's also the same with every human being that has passed away. No, syempre, ipe-prepare nyo rin yung body before public viewing.
Right.
That's what we did with the Holy Father. And then now there is a public viewing for the people to express their condolences and give their last respects for the dead. And then tomorrow will be the funeral mass before he is finally laid to rest. But in between, you mentioned the rite of the sealing of the coffin of the Holy Father. Tonight at 7 p.m. hopefully the last people will be able to pay their respects to the Holy Father, and then a few selected cardinals and led by the Papal Master of Ceremonies, Archbishop Ravalli, will be leading the sealing of the coffin. It's more of putting some important elements of the life of the Holy Father, so that in case in the future someone would be able to unearth this coffin, many centuries later, they will be able to know whose remains is this. No? So nakalagay yung mga achievements, yung mga ginawa niya during his papacy, how long did he reign as Pope, and at least those important aspects in his life will be remembered and also will be reminded by the people in the future. So, yun yung mga ilalagay dun sa coffin before it is finally sealed and prepared for the funeral mass on Saturday.
Yeah, Father, I'd like to ask also, no, kasi baka you could educate us a little about yung history, no, sa simbahan. It's si Pope Francis has requested that he be buried elsewhere aside from like the other popes who are buried within the Vatican or St. Peter, as I understand, no. Were there other popes in the past na naiba ang place of burial?
Yeah, there are other popes who were buried outside St. Peter's. St. Peter's Basilica is very special because that is where St. Peter is buried. So his coffin is niche is an altar is built on top of the niche of St. Peter. So St. Peter's Basilica is very special for the Pope. So most of the popes, especially in recent centuries, they have been buried there. But there are also other popes who are not buried in St. Peter's Basilica. And so this is not the first time that another pope will be buried outside St. Peter's Basilica. This is a special request by Pope Francis because we can see his special devotion to our Blessed Mother. He will be buried at the Basilica of St. Mary Major, where he would often visit the image of Our Lady, Salus Populo Romani. Our Lady are the help of the Roman people. Usually, before he leaves the country, before doing a papal visit, he would stop by the Basilica of St. Mary Major and pray before the image, and then after returning from that country, he would also pray and say his thanksgiving, no, para bang yung isang anak na nagpapaalam sa kanyang nanay na aalis muna, no, at pagbalik din parang anak din na nagpapaalam sa kanyang nanay o nagsasabi sa kanyang nanay, nandito na po ako, nakauwi na ako. So it's very, very memorable for him. It's very that place is very important. It's very close for him. Kaya that was his request before he passed away.
So parang may connection siya dun talaga sa lugar, ika nga, kung if you look at that way. Pero yun nga po, no, sinasabi nila dito, first siya na pope na malilibing outside the Vatican City in 100 years. Kasi yun nga po nabanggit nyo, meron pa naman before.
Yeah.
Oo.
Yes.
Okay, Father, kayo po ba ay nakapunta na sa public viewing kahapon?
Nagsimula nung Wednesday, no, nandun ako, pumila ako ng 7:30 p.m. Nakapasok ako ng Basilica ng 11:30 p.m.
Wow.
No, and I heard it right na umabot pa sila until 5:30 in the morning to accommodate all those who would want to pay their last respects to the Holy Father. Ganong kahaba yung waiting time para makapasok at makasilip. Pero hindi ka rin makakatigil dahil tuloy-tuloy lang, parang padadaanin ka lang nila. But there's a place there where you could stop and offer more prayers for the Holy Father.
Oo. May kumalat po kasi sa social media na meron pong nun doon sa gilid na talagang nag-iiyak po doon, tumigil po siya doon at talagang
ito yung friend niya sa
Nakita
circus.
niyo po ba siya? Can you tell us what happened there po?
Oo. Hindi ko pa nakita yung ibang videos about her, but what I learned is that she's a very special friend of the Holy Father.
Yes, that's right.
I think that happened right after the rite of the transfer from Casa Santa Marta going to St. Peter's Basilica. No? Nakita natin may mga ibang pare na nagbibigay ng kanilang last respects, and then the sister just went by the side and then just stayed there and cried and prayed for the Holy Father.
Yeah, Father, baka you could also, no, di ba, I asked you kanina about the other popes that possibly have been buried outside. I'd also ask you, I'd like to ask you about the ring of the Pope. Di ba, supposedly pag namatay ang Pope, may ring na sinisira. And
yung
then,
fisherman's
is that different, Father, from the Pope's ring na nakikita natin? Or it's the one and the same?
Yung ring ng isang bishop, kasi when a priest is ordained a bishop, he would usually, or one of his insignia is a ring, a symbol of for him or of him being married to the church.
Yeah.
From the previous rites, no, sinisira yung seal na ginagamit ng Santo Papa, because usually or that by tradition it is used to sign, no? Parang nandun yung kanyang
parang
emblem.
nakikita ko, Father, sa movies, yung ginaganon.
It would be scratched out so that it will no longer be used, or a sign that the Pope has passed away.
Yeah.
So more or less the insignia is being destroyed or somehow scratched out.
So it's just the insignia, Father, but does the Pope get buried with the ring itself, or they leave it outside?
I think it would also be buried with him.
Okay.
And then also baka, can you enlighten us na rin po, Father, since you're here na rin dun sa significance nung sinuot po niya sa loob ng coffin? Is it really like that po with the other popes that have died? Tsaka may suot din po siya yung mitre, no, na sinusuot po pag nagmamas. Can you tell us more about it po?
Those are usual vestments of a bishop, no? So yung kanyang mitre, it symbolizes his teaching authority, yung medyo pataas na kanyang sombrero. At he is wearing red vestments. It is a special case for all popes that they are vested with red vestments for their funeral, especially in Rome, because Rome is considered a place of martyrs. So that's why he is vested in red. And tomorrow, the Holy Father, the dean of the College of Cardinals, and all the priests will be wearing red. So it's only Rome who has that special privilege, no? If in other places, no, sa ibang, kanwari sa Pilipinas, pag may namamatay, we usually wear purple, no, or purple or white, but usually more or less it's purple. But for Rome, we would be wearing red, as a sign that in Rome, and especially for the Holy Father, he's also considered a martyr for the faith, because he has already offered his life in serving the church.
Right.
And in consideration also of the place that Rome is also a place of martyrs.
Right. So what can we expect po from the funeral tomorrow, and of course yung after? We all know naman po kasi na may 9 days of mourning, and hindi naman po pala kaagad magko-conclave, ano? Isasagawa yung conclave right after the funeral. Kayo na lang po magsabi sa amin yung magiging proseso po.
Okay, so, after the funeral mass, tomorrow, there will just be a few cardinals or officials from the Vatican that would bring the remains of the Holy Father to his final resting place at the Basilica of St. Mary Major. So hindi na lahat, and it will not be open to the public, and some will be joining the remains of the Holy Father for the final committal. And then for the next days, nabanggit nyo na there will be 9 days of mourning, and those 9 days of mourning, a few selected cardinals will be presiding in certain masses, and will be joined by different sectors of the Vatican City State, no? Nandiyan ng religious, nandiyan ng officials, nandiyan yung mga Vatican City citizens that will be joining for the celebration of the masses for the next 9 days. And what I heard that is also the niche of the Holy Father will be open, I think after 2 days, if I'm not mistaken. It will also be open to the public. So pwede nang dalawin ang puntod ng Santo Papa pagkatapos ng mga 2 or 3 days, at pwede pang magbigay ng final respects dun sa ating yumaong Santo Papa. And tuloy-tuloy yung mga meetings ng mga cardinals in preparation also for the conclave. So hindi pa naman kaagad-agad magko-conclave siguro. So also to give time for the people to prepare the Sistine Chapel, no? Kasi pag nakapasok na mga Sistine Chapel, hindi pa nakaset up dun yung mga upuan nila for the conclave. Even the chimney that we will be seeing for the next days, not yet there. So isa-set up pa nila yan.
Okay.
Tinaabangan yung mahiwagang white smoke in the coming weeks.
Father, I'd like clarify lang, no, yung Carmelengo, no, is he an elect, will he be voting sa conclave, or he is just supervising?
He is a cardinal. Hindi pa ata siya pumapasok sa age na 80, so he is also he will also be joining the conclave.
kayo.
Okay.
So if you take a look at it, talagang punong-puno ng kultura at tradisyon, no? Guided by the Holy Spirit yung ginagawa ng proseso ngayon ng Catholic Church. Anyway po, Father, I wanna circle back doon po sa pagpunta nyo kahapon sa public viewing. How was the experience? Para po sa amin na nandito po sa Pilipinas na hindi naman po makapunta doon to pay our last respect sa ating Santo Papa. How was it po? Can you tell us more about it?
Actually, the long lines were worth it, and syempre nung nandun ka, para bang all the memories are coming back, especially when he visited us way back 2015. Yung mga inaral, yung mga tinuro niya, yung mga pronouncements, his gestures were really coming back when I started to see him, no. When I saw him up close, no, his face was very serene. Na talagang kung paano mo siya nakikitang nakangiti, na ang saya-saya, greeting people, yun yung makikita mo dun sa aura niya when dun sa kanyang himlayan, no. It's as if he has really seen the Father's face. Talagang very, very peaceful, and somehow nakakabawas din sa lungkot na makita na he's in a better position after serving the church for how many years, and even facing difficulties as the leader of the church, as a pastor, as a shepherd. Now he has received his heavenly reward.
Parang mission accomplished. Si Santo Papa. And lastly po, no, ito lagi po namin din tinatanong to sa mga nakakapanayam namin tungkol nga po dito sa pagpanaw ni Pope Francis. Ay sa lahat po ng mga nagawa po niya, no, yung mga nasabi niya at na-experience po ng mga tao. So tingin niyo po ba, personally kayo po, ano po yung magiging parang legasiya ni Pope Francis?
So what really sticks with me, especially as a priest, no, yung kanyang message of mercy and compassion, especially when he visited us. Pero even besides that, he would always remind priests, no, na para bang never be judgmental in the confessional, parang do not withhold the mercy of the Father, always give that absolution hanggat maaari, wag mong ipagkakait yung confession sa iba't ibang tao. He would always remind priests with that message, no, na wag namin ipagkakait. At even with that message, he also showed that to us by building bridges, no. Kapag hindi natin pinagkakait yung awa at habag sa ibang tao, ibig sabihin din naggumagawa din tayo ng tulay, gumagawa din tayo ng ugnayan. And that is what the Holy Father showed and taught us.
Sabi nga nila, he was the one who encouraged talaga the coexistence.
That's right.
Diba, of everyone.
All right. With that, thank you very much for your time and for enlightening us, Father Bong Bayaras.
Thank you so much po.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, President Bongbong Marcos and First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos are now on their way to the Vatican. They will join around 170 dignitaries and hundreds of thousands of faithful to witness Pope Francis's funeral rites tomorrow. Malacanang said it is not yet clear if the first couple will have other agenda. For now, the Executive Secretary as well as the Secretaries of Justice and Agrarian Reform have been designated as caretakers.
Pag binigay na po sa atin ng ahensya ng DFA, ang detalye po dito, ibibigay ko po sa inyo. Dahil sa ngayon po, nakausap po natin ang representative ng DFA at ito lamang po ang naibigay ng detalye.
The Pope Jeep that Pope Francis used in 2015 is set to tour various churches. The Pope Jeep owned by Armored Transport Plus is displayed at Santo Domingo Church in Quezon City. According to its caretaker, they plan to bring this to Quiapo Church and Santuario de San Antonio Church. The Pope Mobile that the Pontiff used at the Quirino Grandstand in 2015 was similar to a jeepney.
Nakabalot siya, tapos every 3 months, pinapandar namin, dinilinis namin, pati yung makina, inaayos namin, papalit kami ng langis.
Session na nag-emotional lang ako nung nakita ko itong napakaswerte ko naman na nakita ko. Napakaswerte ko. Isa ako sa swerte.
Yeah,
Ano naman
yung
tayo
jeep,
mga Pilipino pagdating sa mga memorabilia talaga.
Yeah, I remember seeing that when he was touring kasi 'di ba nag-abang din tayo. And ang request kasi talaga ng Pope was to be as simple as possible. Ika nga nagkakaproblema nga yung security team niya with all the requests to the Pope because traditionally they want the entire Pope mobile yung sealed. Para naka-encase sa glass, bulletproof and sealed.
Kay
John Paul.
Pope John Paul kasi at that time may banta sa buhay.
Si John Paul was shot already in the 80s, di ba? So, but the Pope was very adamant. So, if you could remember nung dumadaan yung Pope Jeep niya, di ba? Ang daming nakasabit na yung mga bodyguard, di ba? Tapos may isang PSG na galing sa Presidential Security Group na joined them to secure the Pope also. Na sumikat, I don't remember yung
dito yan sa
Philippines. Nag-viral siya because, nakisabit ang PSG with the rest of the Pope as bodyguards. Those are yung bodyguards ni Pope, yung sumabit, yung mga Swiss guards yan. Pero they're no longer in the garb. Yung Swiss guards na naka-garb, yung nakikita mong uniform, dun lang sila pag they're within the premises of the Vatican. Pero yung ito, naka-ano sila, Americana. Pero yung Pope Jeep na yan, ang ganda. Very, very simple. Ayan, tignan nyo. Di ba?
Then I also remember there's this kid na nag-post din online na isa siya sa mga welcoming committee nung dumating si Pope Francis dito sa atin sa airport, yung pagbaba niya sa eroplano. May mga welcoming committee din, mga bata, na-hug din siya, nayakap siya. Tapos yung bata na yun, yung pinost niya, yung damit niya, nasuot niya nung nayakap siya ni Pope Francis. So sabi niya, tuwang-tuwa siya that, she was able to experience that. So makikita mo online, there are different experiences, anecdotal experiences na sinishare ng mga tao. Yung mga simple encounters nila with Pope Francis. So, yan. So, yan talaga yung natin, inaabangan natin ngayon na mga dito ni Pope Francis. And of course, tomorrow there will be a special coverage para doon sa kanyang funeral, no?
Afternoon.
Dito yan sa atin, sa One News at saka sa TV5.
Although media will be covering it, pero it's going to be a private funeral daw. Diba?
Sinabi naman ni Father.
It's not going to be open to the public, but rather yung mga dignitaries.
Yeah. Alright. Sige, we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. In a surprising move, former Vice President Leni Robredo has endorsed senatorial candidates Manny Pacquiao and Benhur Abalos. Meanwhile, Vice President Sara Duterte has confirmed her support for the candidates endorsed by her father. Here's the report.
Many were surprised when former Vice President Leni Robredo endorsed alyansa para sa bagong Pilipinas' senatorial candidates Manny Pacquiao and Benhur Abalos. Pacquiao and Abalos held campaign activities in Robredo's stronghold of Naga City, where she is running for mayor. Robredo described Pacquiao, one of her rivals in the 2022 presidential race, as trustworthy and kind.
Nagkasabay po kami sa Cebu, nahiling niya, si sasakyan ko, sabi niya, "Di ka ba ngayon naka-bulletproof na auto?" Sabi ko na Sabi ni Senator Pacquiao, "Papasubliun na ka daw. Dapat kaya siguradong safe ka, Permi. Papasubliun na ka." Iyan po, nahiling na nindukan. Magkalaban na kami kayan. Magkalaban na kami. Sige pa ang labang sa ko. Sabi ko, Sen, nagkalaban tayo for president, pero tulong ka pa din ang tulong sa akin. Araw po siya kaya.
She also called Abalos a friend, citing his assistance to Naga after severe tropical storm Christine struck in 2024.
Tatabangan ta siya dahil haloy na siyang nagtatabang sa tuigdi sa Naga, lalo na po kang bagyong Christine. Nakapira siya digding balik para magtabang, tahimik sana si pagdigdi pero sige ang tabang, kaya ni po siguradong pag nagsenador iniyo, tatabangan kita kani, kaya tatabangan naman siya.
Meanwhile, Vice President Sara Duterte will campaign for the senatorial candidates endorsed by her father, former President Rodrigo Duterte. She said her father entrusted her with a campaign for the 10 PDP candidates. However, she has remained silent on 2 other names her father endorsed, Ariel Querubin and Gringo Honasan. The Vice President continues to support Senator Amy Marcos and Representative Camille Villar.
Tumawag siya sa akin, si President Duterte. At sinabi niya sa akin na diretsuhin ko na daw yung mga tao na bumoto straight ng PDP laban. Huwag na daw magpaligoy-ligoy pa. Sabihin na daw diretsyon at ipaintindi sa mga tao kung bakit kailangan nilang bumoto straight ng 10 na mga senators ng Duterte ang tawag nila sa sarili nila, ma'am, dahil hindi sila lahat galing sa isang partido lamang, no?
Some House leaders, however, believe the Vice President may be strategizing to influence the outcome of the still pending impeachment trial in her favor.
Kailangan niya ng sapat na bilang para hindi siya i-convict kapag matuloy na ang impeachment trial sa Senado. Kaya tingin ko ang mga ine-endorso niya, yun yung mga tiyak siya na hindi siya i-convict.
Ang nakikita ko lang dito, pag nanalo yung mga in-endorso, parang ini-impluwensyahan nila yung mga senator judges, which is, yun naman po ay taliwas po dapat sa tamang gagawin.
Nearly 30 candidates for the midterm polls are being asked to respond to complaints over campaign violations. Here's the report.
With only more than 2 weeks before the midterm elections, the COMELEC has issued a new list of candidates allegedly involved in vote buying. The list includes Manila mayoral aspirants Isko Moreno and Sam Versosa. In a Facebook Live, Versosa was quick to deny the allegation. He even went to the San Andres Sports Complex to report what he claims as actual vote buying. Versosa said his opponent, incumbent Mayor Honey Lacuna, was the one buying votes. In response, Lacuna's camp said there is an appropriate venue to complain. They added that Versosa should first prioritize clarifying the allegations against him. In an interview with 1PH sa Totoo Lang, Versosa hit back at Lacuna for supposedly manipulating the narrative.
Inis talaga ako sa mga sinungaling. Inis ako sa magnanakaw, inis ako sa mga bumabaliktad na storya. Kaya lalo nila akong binabaliktad, lalo kong ilalabas yung katotohanan. Ako mismo pupunta. Hindi naman ako takot sa mga kung sino-sino yan. I have my own resources, I have my own people. At lahat yun, gagamitin ko para ipaglaban yung mga kinakawawa, inaabuso sa Maynila.
He also clarified that his goods and ayuda were distributed prior to the campaign period.
Hindi ko alam kung tinutukoy nila yung mga tinulong ko before campaign period. Pero after nun, wala na po akong binigay. Except yung t-shirt na nakikita yung binabato ko.
Moreno, meanwhile, refused to comment until he received a copy of the show cause order. Aside from the 2 Manila mayoral bets, Caloocan Mayor re-electionist Along Malapitan is also being accused of abusing state resources. Malapitan denied the accusation, saying that the ayuda distributed was under those exempted from the spending ban. So far, at least 28 candidates are being asked to explain their alleged campaign violations. For News 5, Mon Gualvez, we are One News.
Now let's discuss that and more election-related matters.
We have with us Dennis Coronacion, Chairman of UST Department of Political Science, joining us live on Zoom. Good morning, Prof. Thank you for joining us again.
Good morning, Sir Angelo and Ma'am Angela. It's nice to be back. Thank you for having me here.
Ayan, Prof. Let's get right to it. In the past, we've heard COMELEC, past elections, issue threats to airing candidates, no? And now, meron ma-show cause orders na binibigay. Ano kaya, Prof, ang impact nito sa behavior or how the candidates conduct themselves?
Well, I think this is a good move on the part of COMELEC kasi at least it has shown that it's not it's not incapable of regulating the alleged misbehaviors of these local candidates, ano. Kasi tama kayo, in the past you noted na parang mga empty threats lang ginagawa ng COMELEC. We hope that this move is going to be the beginning of a series of serious actions that will be done by COMELEC against some airing candidates. Oo, maganda po ito, magandang panimula, no? Hopefully, kung napatunayan talaga after due process is given, na talagang guilty yung mga ilang kandidato, sana mailapat yung karampatang penalty sa kanila. No? I think that also includes disqualification from office and at the same time, baka meron pang, meron pang imprisonment na involved.
O masampulan ika nga kasi some candidates are not taking the rules, di ba? Seriously.
Tama.
But,
Tama.
Prof, I wanna know naman your insight dito sa nangyaring recent endorsement ni former Vice President Sara, former Vice President Leni Robredo. Okay, marami po yung nagulat, maraming gustong tanggapin yung ganitong klaseng endorsement. Marami naman pong parang tumaas yung kilay. So, your thoughts on that po? Ito po ba yung kanilang last hurrah? I don't know.
Kasi malapit na magtapos yung yung campaign period. I think yung last day is on May 10. Tawag dito, yung tanong nyo kanina kung may mga na-disappoint ba, may nagre-resist. Siguro po sa kampo ito ng mga supporters ni dating Vice President Leni Robredo because tama nga naman, I think in terms of political principles na pinaglaban noon nung 2022 presidential campaign, ni then presidential candidate Leni Robredo. Mukhang hindi naka-align naman doon sa ideologically and in terms of political principles doon sa mga in-endorse niya.
Prof, medyo nawawala po kayo. Yung signal po niyo medyo papihit lang po ng konti para makakasaga po tayo ng signal.
Kasi in terms of hello?
Yeah, okay. Parang okay. Yes, Prof, go ahead.
Narinig niyo na po?
Yan po.
Yes, Prof. Go ahead, Prof.
Opo, yung nga po yung sinasabi ko na kumbaga kaya siguro may umaangal doon sa kampo ng mga supporters ni former Vice President Leni Robredo ay dahil hindi naka-align politically, yung si former Vice President Leni Robredo, yung kanyang pinaglaban, at saka yung of course, yung galing sa kampo ng kanyang nakalaban noong 2022 presidential election.
Yeah.
So, kaya may umaalma. Ngayon, ang dahilan naman po ni former Vice President ay mas specific, very particular, nothing to do with ideology or political principles, kundi yung mga tulong na naibigay ng yung dalawang kandidato, si Senator Manny Pacquiao at saka si Secretary Abalos doon sa bayan ng sa syudad ng Naga, lalo na yung particularly nung nagkaroon daw ng bagyo yung Typhoon Christine, tumulong si former DILG Secretary Abalos. So mga particularistic reasons instead na mga nakabase yung pag-endorso sa mga political principles, political ideology.
Pero Prof, hindi ba magkakaroon to ng backlash? Because kung ang pinakadahilan niya to endorse a candidate na out of a principle is, it's just like saying, I'm endorsing you dahil may ginawa ka para sa akin. I scratch your back, you scratch my back. So in essence, parang nagiging trapo ang imahip ng isang politiko pag ganun. It's the reason they say na while our political system fails is because those who get elected may utang na loob.
Kinain na ba ng sistema?
Oo, yun ang gusto ko tanong, Prof. Kinain na ba siya ng sistema?
Well, ideally po, tama yung sinasabi niyo, dapat kung mag-endorso, at least magkalapit ang kanilang mga prinsipyo yung pinaglalaban o kaya ideolohiya. Kaya nga lang po, kumbaga karaniwan na sa politika natin na hindi naman talaga kinokonsidera yung ideolohiya, o kaya yung mga prinsipyo, o kaya mga issues.
Yes.
Sa pag-endorso, o kaya pagkakaroon ng koalisyon. Nakaset aside po yun Ang mas tinitingnan ay yung pong mga naitulong, o kaya parte ba ito ng political network ng mga politiko. Kaya sila nagkakaroon ng endorsement o kaya mga alliances.
Pero Prof,
yes po.
In relation to that, kasi you were saying, of course, sa tulong, but take a look at yung numero po ni former Secretary Abalos, medyong nasa 11, 12, 13, 14, di ba? Nasa dulo siya. Together with Senator Bam Aquino, former Senator Bam Aquino, and former Senator Kiko Pangilinan. Ano magiging impact ng endorsement nito ni former Vice President Leni Robredo given that she endorsed also 2 candidates that are fighting for position?
Right. Maganda yung tanong nyo kasi tama kayo, no? Yung pointing out na baka posible magkaroon ng kompetisyon doon sa mga in-endorso niya mga kandidato. So previously, mga nauna niyang in-endorso si former Senator Bam Aquino and former Senator Kiko Pangilinan na nasa bottom end rin, ano?
Yeah.
Hindi rin komportable yung kanilang mga posisyon doon sa Magic 12. Labas pa nga sa Magic 12, ano? So they are also needing any kind of help. Kaya nga lang, kung tutulungan pa nila itong dalawang naghihikahos din na administration bets, baka yung boto sana na, yung slot sana na pwede nilang maipanalo ang mga traditionally kakampi niya, ay baka maibigay pa doon sa may panalo pa ng mga bago niyang in-endorse. So, yun ang pwedeng maging epekto nun, ano?
Okay.
Kasi all of these 4 candidates are in the bottom end.
Yeah. Prof, pero on the other side of the fence, can we also take a look at this endorsement as aside from last hurrah strategy, ay kumbaga parang i-liken ito doon sa quote ni Albert Einstein na insanity is doing things over and over again and expecting different results. So ang ginawa nila dito, iniba naman natin yung strategy natin, no? Para medyo parang may mangyari ng kakaibang result at the end of the day.
Kumbaga, Prof, parang deviating totally from the dilaw and the pink image.
Or kumbaga po, thinking out of the box.
Yeah, oo.
Totally unexpected nga po itong ganitong klaseng endorsement ni ni former Vice President Leni Robredo. And hopefully, I don't know if she has a political agenda. It has yet to be known. Hindi pa niya sinasabi ko ng reason niya. Basta very personal at saka particularistic yung reason. May kinalaman sa local politics at yung tulong personally, no? As to whether or not this is going to achieve a higher goal, hindi ho natin masasabi. We don't know kung ano yung reason ni if there is an underlying deep reason for this endorsement of the Vice President. Pero definitely tama kayo in pointing out that this is something something that is not usually done by yung mga like-minded persons doon sa kampo niya.
Yung pagkakaintindi natin. Pero, Prof, lastly, I'd like to ask you, we're now at the tail end, approaching the tail end of the campaign period, tas magbobotohan na tayo. Ano ngayon ang magiging impact ng makinarya ng administrasyon sa placing ngayon sa 12? Because we have already, if you look at the numbers, we have 9 administration bets inside the Magic 12. Do you think the machinery can pull in the remaining administration bets that are out of the 12?
Well, apparently the administration is relying heavily at the moment on its machinery. Marami tayong nababalitaan na ginagamit o kumaya nakipag-meeting ang Pangulo sa iba't ibang mga gobernador, lalo na po yung nabalitaan natin sa Cebu.
Yes,
So this is an obvious case of the administration coalition using its machinery and resources to its advantage. Ngayon, ang mabigat naman po nilang kalaban sa sa opposing camp ay yung nagiging ng traction na narrative ng Duterte family na sila ay bagaman yung pagkakakulong ng dating Pangulo, yung pag-aresto ay di makatarungan.
Correct.
At yung buong family ay nagsasuffer sa tinatawag natin na political persecution. So it's a battle between the Duterte family's narrative, propaganda, at saka dun sa makinarya naman ngayon ng administration coalition. So let's see who's going to win in the end. Which one's going to prevail. Interesting fight dito.
Labasan na ng popcorn, Prof.
Interesting.
Prof, thank you for joining us. But of course, since malapit ng election, we'd like to hear from you again. And thank you for your time. Dennis Coronacion, Chairman of UST Department of Political Science.
Thank you, Prof.
Anytime, Prof.
All right, in other news, China has allegedly hired troll farms to support or discredit certain candidates for the midterm elections. Here's a report.
A Senate probe uncovered China-sponsored troll farms hired to manipulate public opinion on social media. Influence operations are especially active with the May 12 elections happening in 18 days. That's according to National Security Council Assistant Director General Jonathan Malaya.
You will see narratives coming from Beijing that the Balikatan exercises is a threat to regional peace and stability. And you'll also hear that kind of statement coming from local proxies who follow the script coming from Beijing.
Malaya was replying to a question raised by Senator Francis Tolentino if there were indicators of foreign interference. Tolentino directly asked if China had ongoing operations to support or discredit candidates, to which Malaya replied in the affirmative. Narratives from Beijing are supposedly being amplified by third-party individuals or local proxies in the Philippines.
Akala natin ay yun ang tunay na sentimiento ng mga nagpo-post at nagre-react, subalit ito pala nagpapatunay na binayaran. Binayaran ng People's Republic of China para sirain hindi lang ang kredibilidad ng isang tao o namumuno kung hindi ng ating bansa.
Tolentino also revealed a check that allegedly showed Chinese involvement in these troll farms. The Chinese embassy has yet to respond to this allegation. The COMELEC also confirmed that there are indeed parties trying to interfere in the election, although it did not single out a nationality.
Mukha pong sa tingin nila at sa akin pong palagay din, ito ay nanggagaling sa ibang bansa at hindi po dito sa ating bansa. Pero may mga ginagamit po dito upang masigurado lamang na kung ano yung imamagnify, ano yung palalakihin na issue ay yon ang makikita ng sambayanan.
Senator Raffy Tulfo wants to ensure that truck and bus drivers have alternatives for long journeys. In a Senate hearing, Tulfo said truck and bus drivers should be on straight duty for only 6 hours. But according to the lawmaker, companies are not compliant, which makes it dangerous for drivers and passengers. He called on the LTFRB to coordinate with local governments to ensure its implementation.
Maybe should start cracking down on that. Siyempre, wag natin multahan yung mga drivers. Multahan natin yung mga may-ari ng mga truck. Silang tumitiba-tiba. Tapos yung mga drivers nila na pinagtatrabaho ng more than 8 hours, 10 hours, 16 hours sa manobela, yun lang ang bayad. O meron man siguro dagdag, piso-piso lang. So, sino pwede magmultahan nun?
The Philippines is set to chair a group of 18 middle-income countries, or MICS, at the United Nations. The country will host the high-level conference of MICS in Makati City from April 28 to 29, where delegates will discuss critical issues such as inequality, climate vulnerability, and access to technology. Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo stressed the need for a unified voice among MICS to better represent their unique challenges and needs. Meanwhile, NEDA Secretary Arsenio Balisacan noted that the Philippines is on track to become an upper middle income country by 2026, but warned of potential economic risk such as the middle income trap.
Don't go away because we're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. Angel?
Yeah, thank you so much, Marjorie Tan of Buddha's Belly, for
our Friday treats. You know it's a Friday if it's Buddha's Belly Day.
I know.
All right, let's move on. The Philippine Navy spotted Chinese aircraft carrier Shandong within the country's territorial waters. It was seen just 2.23 nautical miles from Babuyan Island on Tuesday. Navy spokesperson Captain John Percy Alcos said it was the first time the carrier came that close to the Philippine coast. On the same day, another Chinese vessel, possibly a support ship for the Shandong, was seen 38 nautical miles off Pagudpud, Ilocos Norte. Despite their proximity, the Navy said the ships pose no immediate threat as they appear to be simply passing through. The sightings coincided with the ongoing Balikatan military exercises between the Philippines and the United States.
It is within our territorial waters, but we cannot say for certain if they pose a real threat because their passage was expeditious. We expect a lot of vessels to transit that particular area, especially off the coast of the Babuyan Islands and the Lupiri Island, because it's a recognized maritime corridor. With the Balikatan exercise ongoing, we also expect several key players to be there also to monitor the exercises.
Officials from De Los Santos Medical Center and MWell have signed an agreement to launch DLSMC's Corporate Clinic Management System. Through the Corporate Clinic Management System, DLSMC's data or records will be centralized. This system can be accessed by doctors and employees through an online portal. MWell Chief Operating Officer Dr. Francis Sarmiento said the system is expected to facilitate easier connection between doctors and their patients. He assured that the clinic management system of DLSMC was designed to be safe and secure. Meanwhile, MWell Chief Medical Officer Dr. Carlo Toledano shared that the clinic management system has made it easier to locate patients' files.
Yun po ang magbibigay ng daan para po mas mapadali po yung pagkonekta ng mga doktor sa mga pasyente at lalo na po meron po tayong mga iba't ibang mga features, meron po iba't ibang mga reports, meron din po tayong dashboard para po mas pakita po natin yung datos ng mas malinaw at mas makapaggawa po tayo ng mga desisyon na makakatulong po at mas back po ng impormasyon o ng datos bago po tayo umabot sa pagdidesisyon. At the same time, mapabababo yung administrative burden, yung pagdodokumento ng mga doktor, lalo na po ng mga nagpapapel. Yun po ang maitutulong ng ating clinic management.
Dati kasi napakahirap na mag-manage ng mga files, mga papel at mga documents ng mga pasyente. No? So, may imagine mo, napakarami namin tinitingan na pasyente. Minsan nawawala na siya. No? Lalo na kung may ibibigay kami sa pasyente, nawawala na rin siya. So, dito sa clinic management system, mas napapadali ito, mas mapapadali ang paghahanap ng mga patient files at ipagsama-sama ito. No? So hindi ka na magdadala ng napakalaking folder or yung patient chart para sa iyong mga pasyente.
Now let's get back to the issue about the West Philippine Sea. How does the Navy plan to address China's increasing presence in our waters?
To answer that, we have Navy spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Rear Admiral Roy Trinidad, on the line. Rear Admiral, thank you for joining us.
Hello po. Can you hear us okay? Alright, sige ro. Nawala ulit yung
sa line. May problem tayo sa line eh.
Oo. No, we'll try to get back to him. Maybe andyan na. Hello po. Can you hear us okay?
Hello. Yes, ma'am. Rear Admiral is ready, ma'am.
Your name po? Rear Admiral?
Yes. Good morning.
Ayan. Hi sir, good morning po. Opo, hingi lang po kami ng update dito nga po dun sa nangyari po doon, yung meron pong mga nakita mga Chinese carrier sa ating territorial waters.
Yes, before that, I'd like to greet all of you. Good morning sa mga taga-subaybay ng programa. Good morning. And I would like to say that the Philippine Navy right now, with more than 400 online viewers are listening to you sapagkat may activity rin dito sa Navy headquarters.
Magandang umaga po sa inyo dyan.
To be able to give them a glimpse of your world.
Opo.
Thank you.
Okay.
Opo, thanks for... Go ahead po.
Yes, you're welcome. Yung update natin, the last report was what I mentioned yesterday, that the Shandong Carrier Battle Group composed of CV-17 o yung Shandong Aircraft Carrier together with 3 frigates, 3 destroyers and 2 support ships were last monitored almost 200 nautical miles east of Cagayan. Ibig sabihin, palabas na ito with their truck the other day, with their truck, palabas na sila sa ating EEZ.
Do we have a report po kung ilang araw po sila na natili dyan, and was there any activity recorded as well?
Yes, they only pass through our waters almost for 24 hours. We monitor them 03 of 22, and on 0300, alas 6 sa madaling araw, and on the 23rd na madaling araw din, sila ay palabas na sa ating EEZ. We were not able to monitor, there was no monitored unusual activity, such as the launching of aircraft or other activities not allowed under UNCLOS when exercising the freedom of navigation or innocent passage right.
Yes, Rear Admiral, was a radio challenge issued ba, or at this, since hindi naman silang walang activity noted, as you said, hindi na kailangan?
Yes, each time there are foreign vessels, not only warships, but even mga merchant vessels within our EEZ, yan ay binibigyan natin ng radio challenge. This is part of our exercise of sovereignty. We are the coastal state. We have the right to challenge and to know where they came from, where they're heading to, and other pertinent information.
Sir, quickly na lang po, no, kasi we don't have much time. How do you plan po to address po, no, of course, sa hanay po ng Philippine Navy, yung China's growing presence in our territorial waters?
Yes, we have to look at the passing of the Shandong Carrier Battle Group from a geopolitical perspective. What is happening in the region? May balikatan tayo, may increased presence tayo ng ibang navies, and the PLA Navy would also like to show their presence or their forces. Ika nga, flexing of muscles ito. Hindi naman ito concerning o alarming, sapagkat alam naman natin na andyan sila, we monitor them, and we challenge them.
Right. On that note, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. Happy weekend, Navy spokesperson Rear Admiral Roy Trinidad. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat din, and more power to your program.
Right, and that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again on Monday. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.